Hello lovelies, welcome. My name's Serena for those who haven't practiced with me before. I'll be taking you through a really nice, gentle and restorative class today, gently opening up the lower belly, the lower back and getting into those hips, hoping to find a sense of release and a sense of relaxation during what can be a pretty tough time for some of us, that time of the month. Grab yourself a bolster. If you don't have a bolster, just grab in a couple of cushions or maybe a couple of pillows, something of a similar size and softness. And then come in to find your sit bones in the center of your mat. You may even want to pop yourself on your bolster or your cushions, giving yourself a softer place to land those sit bones. And then bring the feet out in front of you, soles of the feet on the floor. Wrapping the arms around the legs. See if you can grab hold of the hands. If you can't, just shuffle the feet in slightly until you can. And then settling down here in this nice, gentle, easy pose. Using this time to settle into the practice, however that means for you. So if it's comfortable to close your eyes, use this time to do so. Gently close the eyelids. You have the option to take this pose nice and static, if that's what's working for you today. Otherwise, see if you want to introduce some movement, maybe some rocking from side to side. Maybe some lifting and lowering of the feet. This is your practice. So for today, I want you to try to forget about what you think you need to look like in any yoga class. What you think you might get from it. I just want you to allow yourself to be in these poses. Whatever you feel, you feel. This time in a month can be intense physically on the body, but it also can be intense mentally and emotionally. So also think about how you can also try to find that sense of release, mentally and emotionally. And again, if anything comes out throughout today's practice, try not to pass any judgment. Let it come out. Let it come out. This is a safe place. Taking a couple more breaths here. Notice if your breath has got deeper since we started. Again, if that's not the case, that's absolutely fine. Releasing the hands from around the legs. And gently coming into a cross-legged position. However that means for you. If you need to come off the bolster, feel free to do so. Otherwise, enjoy that tilt that it's given to your pelvis and even opening up that lower belly. So we're starting to stretch that out. Bring the hands behind the back. Place the hands on the lower back. If you tend to get pain or any tension in your lower back during that time of the month, try to place your hands on those places, on those sensations on the back. Take an inhale, grow through the spine, get sit nice and tall. Then as you exhale, lean over to the right slightly, having this slight side bend, opening up left side of the body. Keeping both sit bones rooted into the bolster or the mat. Take an inhale, come back through center. Exhale, going over towards the left. Inhale, coming up. As you exhale, tilting over towards the right. Inhaling up. And exhale, tilting over to the left. And then returning yourself back to neutral. Bring the hands in front this time, placing them on your lower belly. Find that food path, find that little bit of jiggliness at the lower belly. Then when you have, take an inhale, lift your chest, allow the belly to fall into the hands as much as it can, and then maybe your gaze comes upward. As you exhale, just returning the spine back to neutral, so no tucking under. It's it's a modified cat-cow. Take an inhale, allow the belly to drop out again. Chest maybe comes forward and up. Gaze continues to go up if that's comfortable in the neck. Exhaling, returning back to neutral. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. And last one. Inhale. And exhale. Really nice. Then release the hands down from underneath you. Lift yourself off the bolster if you were on there. And bring the soles of the feet together. Drop the knees out wide. Again, play around with the position of the legs. If you're bringing the legs out slightly further, just knowing you might feel that in a different place. Just go to wherever works for you. Once you have the option to grab hold of the feet and round the head down as much as you can. If you feel like you want more support here, place the bolster on the feet. Use it as a bit of a pillow. If you want more support still, bring the bolster out in front of you, having it rest on the mat so it's got a little bit of grip. And then place the forehead down. Hands can drop into the feet. And resting it out here. Again, take a moment to settle down. Just working a little bit into the hips. We tend to hold a lot of tension in the hips anyway. And this just intensifies as we're going through PMS. So just gently working into the hip bones, into the joints, and all of the surrounding muscles. See if you can relax the torso a little bit more. Taking one last deep breath here. And gently coming out of wherever you was holding. Moving the bolster out of the way slightly. And if you're not quite towards the top of your mat, coming forward slightly so your feet reach the end of the mat and bring them as wide as each corner. Then placing your bolster or your cushions right at the lower back, long ways. And then eventually lower yourself down. However that means for you, trying to use as little abdominal muscles as possible. They're tense enough as it is, we do not need to add to this. Once you're down onto the bolster, maybe bring the hands onto the belly again. Show that area a little bit of love. Or if you want to bring a bit more open into the back and the front body, you can bring the arms to either side. Give them a little bit of a cactus. Just knowing if you do take this variation, it will be slightly more intense. So working with how you feel today. And this is really starting to open the front body now. If you find this is too intense for whatever reason, or if you find that you're cramping during this, just coming out of the pose if you need to, and returning back in your own time. If your mind has started to wander, just see if you can bring it back slightly, maybe to your breath, maybe to my voice, maybe to the underlying. Again, not passing any judgment. Just thanking whatever thought keeps popping up, or maybe it's multiple let it go. Just taking a few more breaths here. We've stayed here a little bit longer than some of the other poses. Just enjoying that sense of opening. Getting into the heart chakra here as well. So maybe even showing a little bit of love to yourself. And gently coming out again, however that means for you. It doesn't have to look pretty, it doesn't have to look any sort of way. Just coming up, taking your time again, trying to do as you can. Let's not add to that. Once you have come out, bring the bolster in front of you, make your way on to your knees so we can get into this last relaxation pose. Bring the bolster long ways or your pillow long ways, and then bring the arms over it. Try to rest the breastbone down onto the cushion, onto the softness. Elbows want to try to touch the mat in front of you, and we're on your forearms. Coming into this supported Sphinx pose, so it's opening up that front body again, but with support. So maybe even start to rest the head down as much as you can. And just trust that the bolster, or whatever prop you're using, and your mat has your weight. So really think about relaxing the chest down. If you find having the bolster underneath your chest directly is quite uncomfortable, because if some of us get some sensitive chests during this time of the month as well, which is absolutely fine. Just shuffle the bolster slightly down so the pressure isn't directly on them. And again, settle back down into this pose. Again, we're going to be here for a little bit longer. So it's really starting to settle the body, settle the mind, and try to allow yourself to sink into the parts that connect to the floor, the mat, and your prop. Again, knowing you can come out of the pose whenever you need to. This might be a little bit sore or uncomfortable for some people if they find the lower back is pinching a little bit, especially if that's where you hold most of your tension. For others, it might feel quite nice there, having that sense of stretching out. Just listening to your body. And then slowly coming out of this pose. Again, make your way up in any way that feels comfortable. There is no need to come out of this in any stylistic way. Pushing the bolster to the top of the mat, turning yourself around, And then laying yourself down so the head is resting on your bolster like a pillow. Finding some really nice relaxation here now. So bring the feet nice and wide as your mat. Bring the hands even wider, palms facing upwards. Really find that sweet spot with the head resting on your bolster. Maybe the shoulders are gently resting on it. Maybe they're completely off of the bolster. If you find this is too intense on the back, particularly if you have that natural arch, that lumbar lordosis, bring the feet up so the soles of the feet are flat on the floor. Draw up the knees together. Take a little bit of pressure off of the lower back. Really allow yourself to sink into your mat now. Imagine that tension, the cramps, all those sensations that you've been feeling over the last few days, or however long it's been. Imagine them melting out of the body and into the mat and the floor. Try to visualize it. It might help to introduce some breath to that. So you're using your exhale. Every single time you exhale, see it melt away from the body. Thank you so much for practicing with me today.